Welcome to the channel of NZ Justice 111. This is episode 6 in the series, The Names of Who Corrupt New Zealand and What They Don't Want You to Know. Without further delay, here we go. Very shortly after Lisa ended the relationship with Senior Sergeant, he started falsely claiming that her trust owed him loans in excess of $200,000. Lisa, knowing Senior Sergeant owed tens of thousands of dollars to her trust, took these claims as just the rentings from an angry ex-partner, and carried on focusing on earning an income for her trust until she had the time to work out exactly how much was owed by Senior Sergeant. In February of 2009, Lisa approached the Bank of New Zealand, who granted her trust 3 pre-approved loans to purchase investment properties, with Lisa using the equity held in her trust home to cover the deposits of each 3 purchases. Lisa had also fixed the interest rate for another 2 years on the Bank of New Zealand's mortgage held over her trust home. In late March of 2009, Lisa's trust entered into an unconditional agreement for $350,000 to purchase the first of the 3 investment properties. Here is a photo of the actual property, which is a 3-bedroom home with a self-contained 1-bedroom unit at the back. Lisa then instructed the Bank of New Zealand to send mortgage documents for the new purchase to hers and her mother's long-standing law firm, which they had used for years before Senior Sergeant had convinced Lisa in 2002, as seen in episode 1 of the series, to start using his own barrister, Christopher Lynch, who was and still is a law firm partner of Inder Lynch. On the 6th of April 2009, the BNZ sent mortgage documents for the new purchase over to Lisa's long-standing law firm, with the bank lending the total purchase price of $350,000, with the security for the loan held over Lisa's main trust property. Senior Sergeant, learning that Lisa was buying investment properties for her trust with funding from the Bank of New Zealand, who he was a customer of, and also learning she was using her old law firm to handle the purchases of the investment properties, did something very cunning, and that was to hire a lawyer that worked for the same law firm, Mr. Stephen Tim. What can only be described as malicious intent, Senior Sergeant then instructed Mr. Tim to write to the Bank of New Zealand to advise that Lisa owed him not only advances, loans, in the vicinity of $200,000, but relationship property as well. Here is a screenshot of the relevant parts in Mr. Tim's email sent to the Bank of New Zealand on the 7th of April 2009, where gross false financial claims are being made against Lisa and her trust. What is so alarming about Mr. Tim's conduct to send this email is his gross professional negligence in failing to check if the information Senior Sergeant had given him was true and correct before forwarding this information to the Bank of New Zealand. Even more alarming is Mr. Tim's total disregard for standard legal practice to check if the person their new client wishes to legally attack has ever been or was a client of the law firm. Had Mr. Tim bothered to check, as any prudent lawyer would have, he would have realised that both Lisa and her mother Rose had been long-standing clients for over 20 years of the law firm Mr. Tim worked for, making his conduct to represent his new client Senior Sergeant against Lisa highly professionally unethical. After Mr. Tim's email to the BNZ, the bank immediately cancelled all 3 pre-approved loans granted to Lisa's trust and pulled back the mortgage documents which had been sent to the same law firm Mr. Tim worked for to assist Lisa's trust to purchase the first of the 3 investment properties. After Lisa was informed by the Bank of New Zealand the reason why her trust's 3 pre-approved loans had been cancelled, she immediately contacted Senior Sergeant, only to learn he had also instructed Mr. Tim to lodge a claim over Lisa's trust home using the Property Relationships Act. Lisa immediately contacted Land Information New Zealand to have Senior Sergeant's claim removed, which they did, but not before Senior Sergeant, on the 16th of April, emailed the bank using the New Zealand Police computer and again told malicious lies that Lisa and her trust owed him tens of thousands of dollars. Here is a screenshot of the relevant part in Senior Sergeant's email. This email is nothing short of deliberate dishonesty. Let's go through it together. The equity from the sale of Senior Sergeant's home totalling in round figures $174,000. The equity had been deposited into Lisa's trust bank accounts, however, Senior Sergeant conveniently failed to mention to the bank that he had defrauded Lisa's trust well in excess of his equity, as you saw in episode 5. Notice Senior Sergeant has written our joint property when referring to Lisa's trust property. The $20,000 loaned to Lisa's trust in early 2005 by Senior Sergeant. This had already been repaid back to Senior Sergeant 4 years before his email to the Bank of New Zealand, as proven in episode 3. The $30,144.89. As seen in episode 4, Senior Sergeant had used this money, his short-term loan, to redecorate his own property for sale. He had also used the money towards his mortgage payments for that property when his police salary was unable to cover those payments. Notice he is falsely claiming that Lisa was the only one to have access to this money, when Senior Sergeant had ensured his loan account had been joined to Lisa's trust online banking facility, which he was using to access the money, as seen in episode 4. On the 23rd of April, and without Lisa and her mother knowing, Senior Sergeant met with representatives of the Bank of New Zealand to discuss matters regarding Lisa's trust. Let's see what was discussed in this meeting by going through a Bank of New Zealand file note that Lisa obtained a copy of. The bank's note confirms that Senior Sergeant had lodged a claim over the title of Lisa's trust property. This claim was lodged using the Property Relationships Act, as you will see in the next episode. The BNZ's file note also confirms a joint meeting was held between Senior Sergeant and the bank's representatives on the 23rd of April. The most disturbing part in the bank's file note is that it confirms that BNZ representatives shockingly disclosed private information to Senior Sergeant about what the bank was going to do to Lisa and her trust, and that was to disallow her to increase the lending on her trust property by freezing the equity. So Lisa was unable to use that equity as deposits for her trust to purchase new investment properties. It is NZ Justice 111's position that any bank representative disclosing such private information about one of the bank's customers to their ex-partner is both ethically and legally inexcusable. The Bank of New Zealand's freezing of all equity held in Lisa's trust property, relying only on the claims of Lisa's vindictive ex-partner, immediately crippled her and her trust's ability to maintain income, which was solely derived from the buying and selling of real estate. Unfortunately for Lisa, she had told Senior Sergeant during their relationship how she used equity to purchase property. He just simply maliciously made sure he destroyed that use. As we go through this series, you will see more and more inexcusable conduct, such as, but certainly not limited to, criminal conduct, perjury, committed against Lisa and her mother Rose in the High Court by Bank of New Zealand lawyers. To date, the bank continues to unlawfully escape accountability for any wrongdoings, be it the gross breach of privacy or the use of perjury. This now ends episode 6. Look out for episode 7, where you will see more and more evidence of corruption, deceit, and deception done against Lisa and her mother Rose. Until next time, keep safe.